Why survivors cannot just get over abuse overnight. Please know that you should never have shame in your healing journey. It takes time. First one is isolation and loss of support networks. So oftentimes the abuser will isolate the victim from friends and family, encouraging them not to connect with friends and family during the relationship, and basically just teaching the victim that they're all trash and they are trying to tear you and the abuser apart. So a lot of times once the victim gets out of the relationship, they don't really have a lot of people to turn to. So it's very hard to just get over something that became your entire world. Second one is financial dependence. Oftentimes the victim becomes reliant on the abuser for finances, because that's what abusers do. They like to financially abuse. A lot of times it's not just limited to domestic or emotional, it is a lot of times financial abuse as well. Oftentimes if the victim was living with the abuser. Sometimes the abuser will just have a bank account in their name and say, oh honey, I'll take care of all the finances, and then basically take advantage of the victim, whatever income that they're having, or just control the finances. So when the victim's getting out of the relationship, they struggle to rebuild that financial independence that maybe they had before, or just create financial independence that could have never been there, whichever the situation. And that makes it really hard to get over something, because if something has ruined someone's life to the point of like they can't buy simple things like groceries or gas, then I mean that's going to take a long time to rebuild, and that's going to be something that the victim is going to grieve for quite some time and deal with for quite some time, regardless of even if they're grieving or not. They're going to be dealing with it, and if they're feeling the feelings or not. The next reason is cultural stigma, and this is unfortunate, but society does tend to blame the victims for what the abuser did. It's always pick better men. It's always you should have seen the red flags. It's never this person's an abuser and they are toxic and a horrible person. They should not take advantage of someone in that way. Society tends to blame the victims, and so the victims run around believing that sometimes, because that is a narrative that is pushed onto us, and that's why I have this platform, so that you know that it's not your fault and it does take time to process. And in thinking that it is the victim's fault, a lot of times that makes their healing process longer. Abuse is not always physical, and even if it is physical abuse the survivor is healing from, it comes with a lot of impact. And so the next one is psychological impact. So victims, survivors develop disorders, unfortunately, due to abuse. It can be a lot of times PTSD, depression, anxiety, all of those, BPD, bipolar, like there are so many different disorders that people develop due to what happened to them. They're very real things that people deal with, and that can make the healing process so much longer. Like it makes it very hard to emotionally regulate and push forward. It's not something that happens overnight. Follow for more, DM for private consultation.